Today we concern about the lecture that is the metals and alloys of chemistry. Metals are one of the important concern about the various technologies, various developments. So metals and alloys are used in various technologies, various engineering. Number of technologies are available which are based on their metals and alloys. Metals and alloys are one of the important concern in the chemistry also. With the help of metals and alloys, we can solve various problems related with the sustainability and the development. What we have in the human health also concern the availability of metals in their body. Number of metals are involved in functioning of our body. So most of the examples are the copper. Copper is an example of the metal. The brass and bronze, which are the example of alloys. Brass, bronze, brass is combination of two metals, copper and zinc. Earlier, when we have the civilization, human civilization, iron age was there. So use of iron was there. So iron is also one of the example of metal. Number of metals are there, including the tungsten, zirconium, titanium. Number of those are available. So the sodium, potassium, which are also the example of metals. Sodium, which is always present in the in table salt, which is also one of the form of electrolyte, and sodium example of the metal which is present in our body also. We are using table salt in the form of as a nutrients as a testful. So sodium chloride contains the sodium metal. So other there are also other metals involved. So number of metals and alloys are there. Sodium, potassium, scandium, titanium, vanadium, zinc, copper, tin. Tin is also one of the alloy used in most of the electrical industries. That is the whatever the soldering wire. So others may be whatever the bell metal alloy example, then gunmetal, also nichrome. So various technologies required the metals and alloys. For the construction of buildings, the iron is used. Iron and its alloys are used. So those irons are further added as other elements, including the silicon and carbon, that become the plain carbon steel. So iron is added, other metals, and then alloys are formed. So alloys are mixture of two or more metals. For example, we have already given the example of the brass. So brass is a mixture of copper and zinc. Bronze, I have also given the example. Bronze is mixture of copper and tin. So brass, beetle, the bronze, kasa. So those are the alloys. What we have to see the properties of metals. Various characteristics of metals are there, but those properties are further converted into the required property requirement of for the technologies. So here, for example, earlier the coins, when we have to back to the our Indian history, coins are used for the money purpose, money and silver coin. Silver is also one of the example of metal, whereas the gold coin. So earlier, silver and gold were used. Those are one of the precious and noble metals. So metals have many applications and number of significances are there. For example, we are using the utensils in the kitchen. Number of utensils are there, and most of the utensils are made up of the steel, and steel itself is the alloy. Steel is the steels various types of steel. What are the hard, what are the soft steel, and various utensils are in the kitchen, and then certain other items are present in our household, including the kitchen. So the question is how we can say that such a large number of applications. So therefore the significance also includes the properties, the characteristics of metals that can provide us the significant values in their different products. Iron rods are used in the construction of the building. Stainless steel itself is present in the utensils, which are the most part which we are eating in the utensils, stainless steel glass, stainless steel plates. So we are using and we are use those stainless steel and food is there. So different types of foods are available, and then so the question is there: stainless steel does not react with those particular different types of foods. Whatever those particular, if suppose we have the citrus, then we have the other acidic in acidic food which we are using. So there is no reaction for when we are using the stainless steel. So various, whereas the strength is also one of the important ones. Impact, impact resistance, then the strength, and various other properties that those are we can discuss later on. So when we have as a chemistry knowing uh, learners, here we can see the periodic table. So here in a periodic table, metals is an element. Then this metal combined with the in the form of compound or alloy that is good conductor of both electricity and heat. One more thing is there, heat concern. So their metal crystal structures and specific metal properties are determined by holding to the together the atom on a metal. For example, tungsten. Tungsten itself is used in the as a filament in electricity in the bulb, the incandescent bulb. So tungsten is also one of the that have the specific metal characteristics and that provide the function of the incandescent bulb. Incandescent bulb, whatever the bulb we are using the electrical lightings. So artificial lighting. So in case of the artificial lighting, tungsten itself is used. So what we have, this is one of the example where the different metals, atoms of tungstens are in the form of their chemical structure, the crystal structure, and that can be relevant with the function of the bulb, the tube light, the bulb, the compact fluorescent lamp, different artificial lighting lamps. Lamps means the metal halide lamps, mercury lamp, sodium vapor lamp, artificial lighting, whatever the even. So number of those are because of the tungsten. So the artificial lighting filaments inside the bulb, inside the tube light, the filament important part of the that light, and that gives certain radiations, and we get the lighting. So tungsten is also one of the example of the metal. So now we can see the periodic table here, and that clearly indicates that number of metals are there. So as a chemistry aware student, we have know about the periodic table. So periodic table itself is we can say number of elements are there. What are those elements? The systematic arrangement of elements in the periodic table, and the periodic table already explains the whatever the metals. Here we can say the group 1, group 2, can see hydrogen, group 1. Then below are the periods. So hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium. Then we have the rubidium like that. So group 1, group 2, whatever you can see, the lithium. Then we have to see the from left to right. Then this after lithium, beryllium, Be, beryllium. So lithium and beryllium are the example of the metals. Whatever those depends on their nature also, their characteristics. If suppose lithium we have to see, then lithium instantly reacts with the nitrogen and lithium nitride is formed. So the nature of the metal is one of the important. Then we have the sodium in group 1. So sodium is potassium, rubidium. So from top to down, sodium, potassium, all these are the alkali metals. But these metal instantly reacts with the air, reacts with the moisture, reacts with the nitrogen, whatever the case of the lithium. So lithium form the compounds when the lithium is in open. So which metals are stable in the form, and that can be characterized with the electronic configuration, and that we have to use the periodic table from left to right, from top to bottom. Here period number 3, period number 4. So period number 3, sodium and magnesium. Magnesium also some however reactive. So below magnesium is the calcium. Calcium is also well known in our earth crust. the calcium carbonate is present. So calcium combined with the carbonate, and then calcium carbonate is one of the example which is in present under the earth. So calcium carbonate, the metal is the calcium. Now the question is, so the relevant of metals and alloys in different technologies. Later on, we have to see the periodic number 4, that potassium, very reactive. After potassium, calcium. Now, we can see the scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, and zinc. This, all these metals are in period number 4. What are those? Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium. Then manganese. Number of compounds of these metals are there. Potassium permanganate, KMnO4. Iron. Iron, one of the most metal, which is placed in the period number 4, atomic number 20. We have to see 26, iron and its alloys. So iron is the base metal, whatever there that, and for different requirements, iron is added another metals. So those are the alloys of the iron, and you can see number of alloys of iron, because number of technologies we are using the iron and its alloys. So iron combined with other metals forms other metals as well as other elements also. For example, simple iron, plain carbon, steel. Steel are what? The alloy of iron. We having the specific properties. So iron undergo the process of the corrosion, whereas steel does not. However, there may be a number of metals are added into the, so that depends on the functionality. If we want the hard, whatever, if we want hard alloy, whatever the requirement of the technology. For example, in case of the drilling machine, so the rod of drilling machine, which is the example of alloy of iron. So in that particular case, we have to see the periodic table where it is clearly indicates that tungsten, molybdenum, tungsten itself is in uh, tungsten, that is in group in period number 6, and the group number 1 2 3 4 5 6, that is of the chromium. So chromium group is there. So below chromium, molybdenum and tungsten. So iron combined with the tungsten and form a very hard characteristics rods. So that's why in a drilling machine, the rod is of iron with tungsten, as well as some other metals are added. However, we have already discussed that tungsten is one of the metal used in the filaments of the light, filament of the bulb, filament of the tube light, filament of the other metal halide lamp, the mercury vapor lamp. So here one more thing is there. We can see the copper, and below copper is one of the coinage metals are the silver and gold. So we can see, so copper earlier, when we back to the history, and the monetary system, the money system was. the coins and coins of the copper coins. Those are the part of the money part, as well as the silver coin. Earlier, silver coins were used for the money purposes. Then the so those are the precious metal also. Silver and gold both are also used in the jewelry. So, because those are the costly one, and in case of the jewelry, uh, we have to see the gold. AU, AU stand for the Aram. Aram is the M, and AU is the chemical symbol of the gold. So gold is also similarly platinum also there. So we can see in the periodic table the gold and gold itself, and near is the platinum. So gold, you can see here by enlarging, you can see the gold is in 11, group number 11, and platinum is group number 10. So here we can see the parallel to the gold, atomic number 79, atomic number 78 is the platinum. So copper, silver, and gold, these are the coin where the coins were there. One more thing is there, that is the mercury. Mercury is one of the poisonous metals, and that is one characteristics of mercury is that mercury is in liquid state, whereas all those metals are. But mercury is also one of the example of the metal. So this is exception. Whatever all metals have are the solid. So we can see the periodic table. Number of metals are available: titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, zirconium, niobium, molybdenum. Then the ruthenium, whatever we can say, technetium, maybe now here uh, for whatever this is, one of the instability. So technetium, then ruthenium, rhodium, one of the hard metal, osmium, iridium. So those are the hard metal also. So that depends on the electronic behavior, electronic configuration. So lithium, beryllium, whatever we have already discussed, the alkali metals, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, alkaline earth, that is the part of the earth, mostly the magnesium, calcium oxide, calcium carbonate, their compounds, and their magnesium, strontium. So whatever this is all about, and then we have certain lanthanum, cerium. Those are the four lanthanide series. So now the question is there: how these metals we have are arranged? So most now there are some base metals, and those the definition of base metal refers to a metal and that oxidize or corrode relatively easily. This is the base one. So in case of the iron, iron is one of the example of the base metal, and which refers and that oxidizes. Iron undergo the process of the oxidation. The process of oxidation, so where iron may corrodes, that is the rusting. So base metal always, and whatever except some precious metal, those are the passive metals, the whatever the platinum and gold. However, silver also undergo the process of the oxidation, and that corrode easily. Base metals are required in alloy for the strength and flexibility. These are the properties, whatever certain properties required for the different technology materials. And in that particular case, the flexibility also one of the property required for the technology. Strength also concerned. So they have great tendency to corrode in the mouth. So here are the some of the other examples of the base metal, which are the copper. Uh, we can see the example of the copper. This well known copper earlier used in the coin, used in the utensils, food containers. So then we have the zinc. Zinc is also one of the example of the metal. Nickel. Nickel is also one of the example. Titanium. Then we have the aluminium also. So different brass is the example of the alloy, where copper and zinc are there. Aluminium, this is also one of the example of the p block elements. What about those here? The we can see the periodic table. Here aluminium. So aluminium also example of the metal. So this one is present in uh, period number 3. So aluminium also important example of the base metal. Whatever if aluminium in atmosphere, that definitely aluminium reacts with the environmental concern. So here also the aluminium, cast iron. This is the another example of the iron. And then we have the copper, then steel. Steels are also the alloy. So these are the examples of the iron. Now most important is the iron. So iron itself, you can say this is in the chemistry symbol of iron is Fe. Fe represents the ferrum. And one more thing is there, iron and its alloys. Means the part of the metals and alloys. Iron, the name ferrum. This is Fe. Fe stands for the ferrum, and commonly ferrum itself is the chemical name of iron. And when we have to see the electronic configuration of iron, so that is that relates with the transition metals. So iron is example of the transition metal. So here, in case of the iron, different alloys can be prepared. About 10,000 different alloys of iron can be are available on different technology. Different one. You see, iron base alloys. For example, stainless steel. Stainless steel. There is no corrosion in the stainless steel. So stainless steel alloy. Then we have, if suppose we are using the drilling machine and then rod is there. So high speed steel, HSS. Then different parts we have to make. For example, any of the machine, then iron alloys are used for different machines. So therefore, iron and its alloy, 10,000 alloys are used for the different technology. Stainless steel, one thing, then high speed steel, another thing. SS, high speed steel. Tool steel, tools are there. So for all of you are well known about the different tools for the machine. So machine opening, machine maintenance, then we are using the tools. So tool steel, high speed steel, a number of steels are available different. So here we can say If suppose iron itself is extracted by the its ores, the hematite, so iron oxide is present on the earth. But when metallurgy, when iron is extracted from the iron oxide, so therefore that process is the uh, whatever we can say because extraction of iron. So now one more thing is there, ferrous and ferric. We can say distinguish the ferrous and ferric. Iron itself, when we have to see the electronic configuration and then their oxidation state, so iron present in two stable oxidation state. Iron plus 2, those are the ferrous. Then iron plus 3, those are the ferric. So here also the examples of the ferrous metals, whatever someone have the earlier, what is the metal? Metal means so this in this particular case some mixing are also there. So ferrous metals are of four types and pig iron, cast iron, wrought iron, and steel. So here are the picture where these four different types of ferrous metals are there. Now, noble metal, whatever I have discussed about more earlier, these are those with good and retained metallic luster in dry air. No changes. They are beauty. Beauty, gold. Gold is used for the purpose of the jewelry. So that is the lusterness. So their beauty itself, lusterness remains. So those are the noble metals. Their resistance to and corrosion during the heating, casting, soldering, or use in the is also excellent. So gold, silver, platinum, and palladium are the example. Here we can see the picture of the gold, the silver, platinum, and palladium. So we can see the gold and silver, then the platinum. But what we can say that noble metals are existed in their native form, not in the combined form. What is the combined form and what is the native form? Native means as such. But when we have to see the example on the earth, different matter, minerals and ores are available in a complex form. Iron is present in iron oxide, that is the hematite, whereas the copper is present in their respective copper carbonate alone. So the question is there, and these are passive and as well as noble metals. So we have to come towards the alloying. Alloying, metal alloys are the mixture of two or more metals in the various example in the industry. Whatever metal alloys are always used, and no single metal is used alone. Now, the significance and their different properties. So we can see the why these metals and alloys are used for the different properties because of their the specific characteristics. And what are those specific characteristics? Here you can see these are the brittleness, ductile, hard, malleable, soft. These are the specific characteristics and which are used because of these characteristics. Different technology are there. If we need for a technology, if suppose we have to talk about the advanced gadgets, advanced technology, we have the mobiles, we have the laptops. So in that particular case, the metal and alloys is used for to give the strength and to give some relevant properties. Soft. So if suppose um, any technology, any machine, any equipment, then there needs the softness. So softness of the metal and alloys can be come with the combination of two or more elements. So we get the soft steel, we get the hard steel, hardness. Hard. I have earlier discussed about the drilling machine in which the rod. So rod is very hard. Then tool steels. So tools, toolkit, whatever those may be, even the screwdriver, screwdriver. The rod of screwdriver is very hard. So for the purpose of the tools, we need hard material. Something malleable because we have to, for example, in the jewelry items. So malleable is also one of the property of metals and alloys. So now you can say because of these properties, certainly we get the technologies. We get the answer for the technology. Aerospace, airspace, for example, if we have the different air fighters, air jets. So air jets have the certainly certain specific requirement for material which are used in air jet. For example, MiG 41, for example, Bofors. Then so the material used on that particular technology. One more thing is there: high temperature resisting metals and alloys. Because in case of the transportation system, various transportations are there. The train, then the train are there. Then the vehicles, the motor vehicles, then the aeroplane, air, then air fighters. So how their speed is increased, but the role of metals and alloys is one of the great part for the selection of the material. So when selecting the material in particular technology, we have to come towards the periodic table. And periodic table, the explanation of all the metals. So whatever the characteristics of metal, those particular characteristics and their combination, which uh, gives the different technology. I have discussed if suppose we have the jewelry items, suppose we have the iron and its alloys. So iron is alloys, number of we have seen the stainless steel, the tool steel, high speed steel, whatever the TS, tool speed, very high speed of the aeroplane. So speed of aeroplane that contains something, the machine, and machine contains the material, and materials are the example of the metals and alloys. So the properties of metals and alloys are correlates with the requirement of the materials for different technologies. For example, we have see the space research. Indian Space Research Organization ISRO, and lots of space research are there, and how those particular materials are used, and certainly their requirements can be fulfilled with the example of the metals and alloy. In case of the electrical industry, electrical engineering, the electronics and communication, the computer systems, various technologies. Role of metal and alloys in electrical, the conductor. This is another property of the metals and alloys. the conduction of electricity. Electrons are moved. So, different properties of metals are responsible. So, here we have to need different properties. So, this is the significance with the properties. Here, the brittle material easily breaks into the pieces or can be easily reduced to powder form. This is also one of the important properties. The ductile then can be drawn into the wire. If silver foil, we can prepare the gold foil. This is because of the ductility. So ductile material, in this case, the silver foil, the gold foil. Hard material cannot be cut by a sharp tool, a very hard material. So those are the uh, malleable material can be beaten into the sheets. Sheets are there. Soft material can be easily cut by a sharp weapon. Tough material does not easily break under a hammer. So this one is all about whatever we have discussed, and can see the periodic table, and in which we get the different types of metals. So here different properties, different characteristics, and different, and all those, one more thing is there. All these metals, their properties, whatever the brittleness, whatever the toughness, whatever the malleability, whatever the other characteristics, high temperature resisting. So all those come the basis, and basis is that the electronic configuration of the metals, and it's so different elements, when we can say, so different elements, and here those are the metals. So lithium very so all these are depends on their electronic configuration, and electronic configuration gives the different properties of metals. Sodium reactive, platinum and gold not reactive, passive element. So passivity and activity. So here sodium is active metals, platinum is passive metal. So activeness and passiveness both are there, and because of that we can choose the different metals for different technology. So this one is all about, there are a number of metals and there are number of alloys which are used in our life, and certainly certain metals are also useful uh, for us, because of those metals are like acts as a some uh, active material in active metals which are required for example, iron itself is related with hemoglobin in the blood. So copper, this is also one of the element need by human being. Sodium also the electrolyte part, the potassium also electrolyte, the calcium relevant with the bonds formation, bond strength, calcium phosphate. So all those metals and alloys have a different characteristics. So this one is the all about the metals, and they are very important. Okay. Significance of metal and alloys is most important even in our life, even the uh, life supporting material which are in our as well as the different technologies.